Hi again to all our viewers on the ARK28 channel. Welcome again to another edition of our vlog. I'm delighted to say I'm joined once again by my good friend and the cricket world editor, John Pennington. How are you doing, John?
Very well, Alan, very well. How are you?
Yeah, doing well. It's been a busy week. Lots of sport been going on, hasn't there, John?
Certainly has, certainly has.
So, yeah, well, first of all, we've got to start with the test match. I know it's been a bit of a busy weekend for you, but what were your thoughts on what's going on? I mean, it was a manic day yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and I was sort of doing a cycle ride as it happened. I was having a bit of time off, and I got halfway around the cycle ride, checked the score, lunch, England's still batting. I thought, well, if England is still batting by the time I finished the cycle ride, then it might be a good finish on, but as it happened, they didn't last much longer after that, and obviously India winning by 95 runs. You've got to pay a lot of credit to India. Yes, I know a lot of knives sort of come out for England and Alistair Cook and the rest of it, but you've got to pay credit, I should say, to India, because England didn't bowl well enough when they got the chance to bowl on a nice bowler's wicket. India bowled so much better than England, and that was where, for me, one of the key moments of the game. That was one, and then, of course, the way that Jadeja came out and played in India's second innings to really push that lead past a score that England were comfortable chasing. So, yeah, very well played India, but England, plenty of problems for them.
It's funny that you made that point about Jadeja, JP, because it's almost come to full circle. Like, I remember 5 years ago when I was at Lord's covering a game for Cricket World. It was India versus England, actually. I know it's a different form of the game, T20, but Dhoni came under a lot of scrutiny that day. I remember being in the press conference after, and as you know, Indian journalists are very passionate. They're representing their people, and there's lots of questions asked about why Jadeja was sent up the order that day. And to be fair, he looked so nervous that day. He was almost playing like a test innings, very slow. And I think we've almost come to full circle, because here we are 5 years later, and this guy's playing almost a T20 type innings, isn't he? With full of confidence and pretty much put his team into a winning position. So I just found that quite a fascinating little story there.
Yeah, spot on, and the way that India's lower order has batted in this series has been exceptional. You can argue that perhaps England haven't bowled particularly well to the tail, but Kumar's come in, got a couple of half centuries. And Shami did pretty well at Trembridge, and obviously Jadeja's, seems to be riding the crest of a wave with his batting, if not with his bowling at the moment. So, India very, very much very, very happy with the way things are going at the moment. Definitely,
and I think obviously for Dhoni, I know he gets to, as we said last time, and probably rightly so at times, for some of his captaincy at times can be a little on the defensive, but I guess as far as records go, he's now, along with Kapil, they're the only two captains who have won a World Cup, and they're now the only two captains who have won a Test match at Lord's as well. So I guess that's another feather in Dhoni's cap there as well.
Yeah, they've gone a long time without winning a Test abroad, and there's no better place, I suppose, for them to win than at Lord's. So I know they were very happy. A lot of the fans are very happy as well. So that's a super weekend and a super occasion for India.
And also, JP, a word on Alistair Cook. I know there's been a lot of talk, and there has been. I mean, you could see that the crowd were almost willing him on, weren't they, in the second innings? There's that real hope almost, I think, just to release those shackles. But he spoke I thought, full of a lot of confidence yesterday. He was quite honest about, he's not in form, he needs to score runs. But, I mean, they've obviously stuck with him for the next test. But what's your view? Do you think his position is becoming untenable, or do you think England are right to stick with him?
I think they've got little choice, really, because the way that everything sort of fell out with Peterson, they invested quite a lot in, almost like this is Alistair Cook's team. But the issue that Alistair Cook has is he can't sort of go away now, say, not play the third and the fourth test and go and play some first-class cricket, because the county game is now in one day in 2020 mode.
Yeah.
So it would almost be counterproductive for him to actually leave him, well, he wouldn't get the choice of leaving himself out, so to speak. So there's not an awful lot to be gained by not playing him. I think England have just got to stick with him. He's aware that he's not scoring runs. He needs to get some runs and stick with him, because eventually, you almost think by law of averages, it's got to come right. But I don't think they've got any great option, really, but to stick with him, because they've put an awful lot of faith in him already to lead this team through this phase. So they've got to stick with him, really.
I completely agree. I think, and this is what I was talking to someone about this as well earlier. I said, when you make a decision, whatever your view, whatever people's views are on Kieran Peterson, but when you make a decision like that, and obviously you put a lot of investment into Alistair Cook, because you say clearly a lot's gone into that. That's clearly Alistair Cook's team moving forward. It'd be very difficult. I think it would almost take. I don't know what it would take for that to almost change. I think perhaps if they lose a series here, then they might sort of review the situation. I'm not quite sure, but I think for now anyway, you're right. I think this is probably the only option England can go with. So yeah, I think it's been a good series so far. I think it's pretty much lived up to the expectations, hasn't it? I think it's two sides that are in transition and kind of feeling each other out, really, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I think there'll certainly be plenty of drama to come. You're just spot on. Two sides very much in transition, and sort of sparring with each other. And, some new players coming into the team. England, Sam Robson, Moan Ali have done okay, but maybe just need to push on a little bit more. Just switching sports there, I know the topic you wanted to talk about in terms of tennis. World Team Tennis. What's all that about?
Yeah, so it's actually, believe it or not, it's an event, JP, that's been going on for quite a number of years now, actually. It was founded, Billie Jean King, the great American, she's one of the founders, 1973. And you have various different state teams. It's almost a bit like, kind of like IPL, you have the franchises. And it's a combination of current great players along with kind of retired players that have come out to play in the World Team Tennis. But what's great is a lot of the money that's raised goes towards charitable foundations. It's a way of kind of getting people to play and encouraging people of all backgrounds to come out and play. I know Andy Roddick came out of retirement this year. He played last year, but his goal was to have a franchise in his home state, Austin. So this year he's kind of the part owner as well as a player. His team aren't doing that well. The favourites are Washington. They've got like Venus Williams, Kevin Anderson. He came to the fourth round of Wimbledon and played Andy Murray. He's a world number 17, so to give you an idea, there's some pretty good players. The format's pretty cool. It's best of 5 sets, but each set is a match. So you have one set of men's singles, one set of lady singles, mixed doubles, meant that you basically play all 5 kind of different events, and they're all one set matches. It's a bit of the razzmatazz of like IPL. It's just to get fans into it, but as I say, for a good cause as well. So a good bit of fun there.
No, it sounds good. Anything to get the fans involved, and also you mentioned that fundraising as well, and that's very important as well. So that sounds like a lot of fun. Well,
definitely. I mean, there's a girl called Victoria DeVal. She's an 18-year-old promising American player, and sadly she was diagnosed with cancer. She was in the Philadelphia Freedoms franchise, and what was really touching to see was there's a video on YouTube, and literally all the players across the World Team Tennis, like from all the different franchises, Billie Jean King herself, Roddick, all kind of like gave really heartfelt kind of warm wishes for us. It's kind of nice to see, like sport really bringing together people. It's kind of like what we saw for Ross Hutchinson and Baltasha here this year. It's nice to see when sport can do that.
No, it's great to see sport being a force for good. As you know, that's something I'm very, very big on. Whatever the sport, and it's not just about competing and winning. It's about making a difference. That's very important. No,
absolutely. And JP, moving away from tennis, I know I'm pretty sure you'd have seen the golfer McIlroy, obviously, who was engaged to a tennis player until recently, winning the British Open. Your thoughts on that? Obviously, it's been well documented. I mean, not to go into his personal life, but obviously that was quite well documented, his split with Wozniak. And I thought, considering all that he's gone through in recent weeks, it was a pretty good effort, wasn't it, for him to come through there?
It was a superb effort. I mean, part of his problem this season, I think, sort of going back into last year as well, he had what they would call a sort of Freaky Friday. He'd do a superb first round, 68, 65, whatever, and then followed up with an absolute shocker. And of course, this time around he gets 66, 66, and from there on, everybody else was playing catch up. I think on the final day he started with 6 shots clear.
Yeah, absolutely.
He just did enough, and that's what great champions do. They don't overdo it. Did enough, and it's nice to see Sergio Garcia finish as runner-up, I suppose, the sort of people's champion. He finds it coming, but you've got to think that McIlroy, when he turns it on, he's as good as anybody. I think the key for him is the consistency, being able to turn it on for 3-4 days as he did here. He's nigh on unbeatably. I heard somebody say that he's better than Tiger was at his best, and that's probably the highest compliment you could pay him. He's up there with Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods as one of 3 golfers who won 3 majors by the age of 25, which is remarkable. And you could argue he should have won more.
Well, that's the stat I was going to quote you, actually. I was about to say that to you about the 3 majors.
In the final rounds or elsewhere. So he really is a wonderful, wonderful talent.
No, absolutely. I think you're right, wasn't it? I think before he got that first major, I don't know if it was the Masters or the US Open, you may remember, there was one
Masters, yeah,
he was in complete control, wasn't he, until that last day, and there was a few question marks there, wasn't there? There was no doubt about the talent, but and once he's got it together, isn't there, there's been kind of no stopping him, so he's done really well there. And it'd be very interesting to see kind of how many he can kind of go on to win from here, really, isn't he? He's got a good springboard there now.
Yeah, because I certainly believe that on his day he's on the streets ahead of everybody else. So if he can hold it together, stay fit, avoid any off-field issues and things, and he could, well, who knows, he could break some serious records. He's still got a way to go before, obviously, he is up there with Nicholas and Tiger Woods, but he's sort of winning the same amount of tournaments as they did at the same age, so he's on the right path. Definitely.
And, well, talking about racing away with things, and I know we had the Formula 1 as well on Sunday, and although Rosberg won, it sounds like a great effort from Hamilton, doesn't it, to pull back to third place?
Yeah, well, it always gets quite interesting when you get one of the front runners out of position, because of course his brakes failed in qualifying, so he ended up starting in 20th place, battled his way through some epic battles. Not just Hamilton, there was some good racing, Ricciardo and Alonso and a few others as well, as the team drivers battled to get back up into the race. But you could, he did very well to finish third, but you could make a strong case saying he should have finished second, because he misjudged a move of Jenson Button, and he maybe didn't have to make the move that lap, and it compromised his race a little bit later on. So, but all credit to him. But the interesting thing is, because of the way that Formula 1 has a frankly ridiculous system this year, with the last race counts double points, Hamilton can win every race between now and Abu Dhabi and then not win the title.
It's unbelievable, isn't it, when you work it out?
Rosberg should win the last race, get 50 points, and Hamilton, doesn't finish. Sure. Then it would overturn. It's absolute nonsense. So it just goes to show. But it's interesting because you've got one team so far ahead of the rest. It really is becoming a two-horse race. But it's just far too much emphasis on one race for me at the end, which I hope it doesn't spoil what is nevertheless quite an interesting season.
No, absolutely. JP as well, just what we're trying to do as well, more and more of our viewers, we do appreciate, the subscribers, trying to get some more feedback, and we did have a question from Russell Jones on the tennis forum, who was just curious about Olympic sports. We have so many different Olympic sports now, and why wrestling potentially, we've kept it, but we almost lost it, and I think you were doing some research on that for us, JP.
I did, and it's not something I know an awful lot about, but I hopefully I've got this more or less right. But for many years, wrestling was what was certainly the Summer Olympics, was what was called a core sport, so one that was basically going to be there no matter what, so athletics, swimming, I think hockey, etc. Wrestling was a core sport, but the IOC, they wanted to drive the costs down, so they had to reduce, or try to reduce the core sports to 25. It was previously 26, and wrestling, I suppose, got the short straw, so it was going to be dropped from the 2020 Olympics onwards. So what they had to do to get back was basically compete with the non-core sports, like sort of squash, rugby, golf, to get back in, and they won the bid, which has actually never been done before, because usually these the non-core sports to win entry into the next Olympics, sure. they have years of preparation and people arguing their case, but they managed to turn it around in a matter of months. So they've kind of gone from a core sport to a non-core sport. So their participation at subsequent Olympics is still in doubt. But for the moment, they're still going to be there. It's quite an interesting story. And I've got a fun fact on wrestling. Yep. That's Uzbekistan have won more gold medals in wrestling than Great Britain. 4-3.
Oh, really? Oh, there you go. See, so you learn something every day. That's an amazing fact, really.
Yeah. So there we are. Hopefully that shed a bit of light on it. It's a subject. I wasn't quite aware of exactly what had happened, but it's all really to do with costs. I'm all for inclusion. I want to see, I'd love to see more sports at the Olympics, but money does make the world go round, and they're trying to cut a few costs. So that's what it all comes down to. Well,
there you go, Russell. I hope that answers your questions. And guys, we really appreciate your subscribing and tuning in. And Bones Original have kindly been supporting our video blogs. And don't forget, once we reach 100, you'll have the opportunity to win a Bones Original shirt. So please do subscribe. Do follow me on AaronK28 on Twitter. And you can follow JP on JS Pennington. And check out JP's website as well. It's your name, isn't it? JohnPennington.com.
I think it's jspennington.com.
jspennington.com, that's right. And you can also all your cricket updates on cricketworld.com, don't forget as well. So thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you again very soon.